What's up, everybody? Andrew Mahone here with Tricky Jim at Full Grip Games. Today, I'm going to be showing off a Malamar list, which heavily features Copycat Mimikyu. Copycat Mimikyu is gaining a lot of traction right now because of its ability to one-hit KO Zacian V after it has used a Brave Blade attack. Copycat says if your opponent's Pokemon use an attack that isn't a GX attack during their last turn, use it as this attack. So perfect for KOing Zacian V after it has used Brave Blade. 230 damage is a huge amount of damage for Mimikyu to pump out for just 2 energy. So a very efficient attacker and all around a great asset against the popular Arceus Dialga Palkia GX and Zacian V deck. We also have Latios-GX in this build to use Clear Vision GX to prevent that Altered Creation GX from coming into play. You've got a 1-turn clock to make this Clear Vision GX happen. I've messed around with playing 2 copies of Latios-GX. I don't really think that that's worth it, but I do have 4 copies of Switch in this list to make pivoting into your Latios-GX on the first turn in the game easier than ever. So I really love the Latios-GX in the deck. I think that 1 is still correct. If you prize it, then just scoop and go to game 2. But the 1 Latios-GX gives you a chance against the Zacian V decks. Once you've clear visioned, you can just flood the field with Mimikyu using Copycat to knock out Zacian Vs. If they go in with their Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia, you can swing into that and take 3 prizes by knocking it out in 2 hits. We do have Solgaleo and Lunala-GX featured as our big hitting attacker with that Cosmic Burn attack for 4 energy, does 230 damage, and it can't use that attack back-to-back turns. So I do like the 4 copies of Switch to help utilize that Cosmic Burn turn after turn as well, so you can pull off some big back-to-back KOs. We also have Cramorant V in the deck, perfect for beat catch to help set the deck up, as well as Spit Shot, which can KO a Dedenne GX on the bench for final 2 prizes. Also, with Spell Tag in the deck, you can easily KO Pokemon that have more than 160 hit points on the bench with a combination of Spell Tag damage, Distortion Door from the Giratina, and Spit Shot. I think that overall, Malamar is very well poised in the meta right now. It's got good matchups against Baby Blacephalon. It can hang with Zacian V ADP. It can hang with Galarian Obstagoon decks because we can utilize Fireworks Bomb to snipe damage. We can also utilize Spit Shot to go around the Galarian Obstagoon as well. So we do have some options against that deck. And then also, fortunately, Galarian Obstagoon does not resist Psychic. So we can actually hit in with Malamars if it does come down to that. Psi Power also places damage. And the Ordinary Rod does allow us to put the Blacephalon back into the deck so that we can reuse its Fireworks Bomb attack. So I think that this deck is very powerful right now, and I would definitely give it a shot. Looking forward to seeing how it performs in some gameplay. Now, if you're really worried about the Galarian Obstagoon matchup, you can replace the Solgaleo and Lunala Tag Team GX with an Espeon and Deoxys Tag Team GX. Espeon and Deoxys Cross Division does go through the effect of Obstruct, since Obstruct only prevents damage dealt, not damage counters placed. So that little difference in wording does allow effects of attacks like Cross Division, like Baby Blacephalon's attack, like Mew from Unbroken Bonds, 3 damage counters placed. All of those damage counter placements do go through Obstruct. So if you're really worried about that matchup and think it's going to be something that you're running into very often, you can play that Espeon Deoxys to really sure things up. But with the Baby Blacephalon, the Ordinary Rod, the Mew from Unbroken Bonds, we do have some options to get around the Galarian Obstagoon, and of course there's a Cramorant which can snipe as well. So we definitely have got a plan against the deck, and it's just dependent on meta whether or not you want to specifically tech for it. We've got a crazy opening hand here with 3 Quick Balls, so can't complain about that. Plenty of opportunities to search out my basic Pokemon. So let's go get ourselves, a Jirachi and probably 2 Inkays as well. So we're going to grab that. Really do love the 4 copies of Switch in this list. I think that that is just very strong. And the more that I've been playing with 4 Switch, I can't really imagine going back, since it just gives you that huge boost in consistency, not only allowing you to play around cards like Absol, but also just allowing you to more consistently get your turn 1 Clear Vision GX, allowing you to more consistently be able to get turn 2 Shadow Impacts. The Force Switch has been really fantastic in my testing so far, so I definitely can advocate for that, especially since a lot of players are going to be expecting that Malamar only plays 2 to 3 switch. Having the Force Switch can allow you to pull off some plays that your opponent might not see coming. Once they see that 3rd switch in the discard pile, they might think that they have you stuck, or that maybe they could trap a Malamar in the active, so on and so forth. A lot of different plays. Now, they are going to have to Marnie me here. You hate to Marnie someone's 1-card hand, but you did see me discard a Cynthia, so it's pretty evident that that I am not going to be dead drawing there. And I do find my 4th Quick Ball. Looks like I'm playing against Pikarom with Marnie, and they got an energy attached to their Dedenne GX. Not an optimal turn by any stretch of the imagination there for that Pikarom deck. I'm going to Acro Bike first, and we got a Mysterious Treasure. Definitely looking for some action here off of the Jirachi. So let's thin the deck first. We can Mysterious Treasure away the Psychic Energy, get ourselves a Malamar, and then we're looking for a supporter off this Stellar Wish. Let's get ourselves started here. Fat nothing, that's fine. And we're just going to take things easy with a Psychic Recharge. They're not really doing a whole lot either, so I'm totally fine just using Psychic Recharge to the Giratina. Pikarom is such a phenomenal matchup for this deck that it doesn't really matter. I think that for the most part, we just need to stabilize an attack at some point, and we should be totally fine. Now, what could be scary is if my opponent goes up with their Dedenne and knocks out my Jirachi. I could have quick-balled away this Mimikyu here to give myself the Jirachi on my bench. Played myself down to a 0-card hand to just have 2 Jirachis in play, which does give me the out to Stellar Wish no matter what, which is pretty nice. And they are getting things cooked up now. Looks like they're going for the Full Blitz Electro Power, not necessarily the safe play with the Dedenne knockout. I think attacking with Dedenne is a very underrated strategy with Pikarom against Malamar, since Dedenne can just go up, Static Shock, take a knockout on cards like Jirachi, and then have a great opportunity to potentially use Tingly Return GX. We do have an Absol there. That's going to make it a little bit more difficult for me going forward, but we're just hoping to find a supporter card off of this Stellar Wish, and we should be all right. All right, no attack on my opponent's part. I think that they would have been best off to just Volkner for the cards that they needed in order to guarantee themselves the knockout with Static Shock, be it Switch, Lightning, Electro Power, whatever. But that's okay with me. So let's thin the deck a little bit more. We're going to get rid of the Solgaleo and Lunala and just get myself a 2nd Jirachi. And we're going to go Stellar Wish. If I find a Switch or a supporter, we're good. So we got a Research, and we would gladly take that. And a 2nd Jirachi down onto the bench. We do want to give ourselves enough bench space to be able to put that Mew from Unbroken Bonds down, though I'm not necessarily worried about placing it quite yet. We've got a hand where we missed the switch, but that's okay because this matchup is strong for us. So we're just going to continue carrying on here, setting up our board position and getting some more energy into play. Get Psychic Recharge onto the Giratina and then place another energy onto the Giratina. I'm not really worried about using Great Catcher to bring up anything. We're just going to pass, and we should start trading with the Pikarom pretty favorably once we actually are up and executing our strategies, since I do have that Copycat to swing into Pikarom for 150 if they ever use Full Blitz. If they ever use Tapu Koko V, then I'm really in a good spot. And I think that the Mimikyu is just a huge card in this deck right now. Not only is it good against Pikarom, it's good against Zacian V. It's good against any deck that just does a lot of damage. And Zacian V, as well as Tag Team Pokemon in general, have just forced the meta to get to this place where decks just do a ton of damage. Because Zacian V has 220 hit points, you cannot afford to 2-hit KO as Zacian V. So almost all the decks in format just do an absurd amount of damage, and Mimikyu takes perfect advantage of that. In fact, the copycat watch and learn style of decks has been one of the biggest reasons that Zacian has struggled in an expanded format. So I think that really heavily relying on that copycat could be a huge boost for decks in standard format as well. Now they're going to go all in on this Pikarom, which I would love to punish if we could get. I don't think that I can though, unfortunately. However, I can get a Mew from Unbroken Bonds out into play, so that would be pretty good. Let's go in and probably Great Catcher up a Dedenne and swing into a Dedenne, get Mew from Unbroken Bonds down on the field. It is unfortunate that we are going to be getting rid of my Cramorant, but it's fine. We play Ordinary Rod as well. I just want to swing into this guy and research. I don't have any, let's see, do I have Psychic Energy in the discard pile? I do not. So we can, they got Absol, so I am going to have to find a switch. We could just get rid of the Cramorant, get a Psychic Energy, and we're going to thin our deck even further by putting that into the discard pile with research as well. And of course, we find the switch and the Mew from Unbroken Bond, so perfect grab there. And we've got a Stellar Wish, which we can find ourselves maybe another switch even. But these switches are going to prove to be extremely good against that Absol, so we definitely welcome that. And I don't have a great backup attacker right now. I do have Spell Tag. I don't have Mimikyu in play. That's fine. So we can start to build up this Giratina though, and I will take this opportunity to ping the Pikarom as well as the other Dedenne or the Jirachi. I think the Jirachi. Our goal is going to be to knock out Dedenne, Pikarom, and Jirachi for game. So we'll do that. And then I can actually start to charge up this Giratina on the bench just in case I need to in order to attack next turn. So we'll gladly swing into the Dedenne, and now they're just in this weird situation where they kind of have to gust around my Giratina, or they eat that spell tag damage and the Dedenne is KO'd. Now I think that they got a big charm there on the Dedenne. That is a cool little inclusion there, and the switch. But they've got all 6 energy on the Pikarom and a Marnie. So that switch is going to the bottom of the deck, which is a little bit unfortunate. Do still have 2 switches left in the deck though, which makes me feel very confident about attacking this upcoming turn. Now these 4 cards are pretty much garbage. I did have to get rid of all 4 research there. You do hate to see that. I do still have 3 Cynthias at large in the deck. I can get myself another copy of Malamar though, which I am thankful for. And let's see, this thing is now rocking with 190 hit points, so spell tag's not quite going to be able to get there. But we're looking at just a Shadow Impact, kind of staying the course here this upcoming turn. So we're already so heavily invested into knocking out this Dedenne that we kind of need to keep that going there. 170, now it is very close. We ping 190. We're almost there on the Dedenne. The Thunder Mountain coming down, even though they didn't really need to play it, is going to allow me to just counter that. So totally fine there. And I do have to worry about that impending Tag Bolt GX. But we do have, fortunately, the Mew from Unbroken Bonds. I would like to maybe clean up the Dedenne with it, but we're not going to worry too much about that. I've also got the Latios, so that's nice too. In case I want to Tag Purge, it does look like they're kind of funneling all their energy on to Tag Team Pokemon, so it's a valid option for us as well. Let's see, we're going to ping this for sure, because I do want to start Psychic Recharging to it, and we're going to put those there. We've got the energy to attach from hand. Psychic Recharge here. I think that we're just going to Mysterious Treasure away the Inkay, as weird as that is, to get myself another Malamar. That way I can make sure that I'm really channeling my energy every turn, and we've got the energy to attach and another Psychic Recharge here. And then I don't necessarily want to play my hand down this much, but I think it's fine. We'll just Shadow Impact here. And then I do have a pretty much guaranteed attack with this Giratina next turn, What's even cooler is that if they do take a knockout on this Giratina, I can just Distortion Door, and we're going to take a knockout on the Dedenne. So I'm going to get a +2 to my hands with the prize take. They've really jammed up their bench as well. So they don't really have any room to pivot into a new attacker. They don't have room to go Tapu Koko or anything like that. And next turn, maybe I can potentially shadow or potentially tag purge this for knockout, which would be really neat. But I am kind of in trouble here just with a 0 card hand. All of my research is down in the discard pile. But we do only have 13 cards left in deck, so pretty high chance of finding a card that I need. And I do have the Viridian that is sticking. So I do have the guaranteed knockout with this Giratina. We're going to take 5 prizes this turn. And I do top deck the Cynthia as well. So that's a beautiful draw for me. We're just going to go here. We've got Switch and Escape Board. It doesn't really matter though. We'll gladly just go find ourselves the Psychic Energy, the final Psychic out of my deck, and just check our resources. There is this switch here, and then I've got some switches prized. And we will definitely Distortion Door to take those 2 prizes on the Dedenne. And then we have got a spell tag as well. And if my opponent hits into the spell tag, it's going to be game over for them because I'm knocking out this Pikarom this turn. And you can just see we're in a really commanding spot here in this matchup with almost nothing that can go wrong for us. Energy put into play, switches in hand in case I need them. We'll put that spell tag there, Escape Board there. And 6 cards left in deck. Malamar does very consistently get to the bottom of its deck, which is something that's really nice about the list as well, especially with research now. Quick Ball and Mysterious Treasure, there are just so many options to dig through your deck. And then very often you will use the Ordinary Rod to kind of put the final juice back into the deck, just to make sure that you don't deck out sometimes before a research or something like that. You just put some final cards back in. And of course, having 2 switch here at the end of the game, extremely valuable as well. It's going to make these final game-winning plays a lot easier. Now, something else we could do is I can Ordinary Rod that Cramorant back into the deck, and we can win the game with that. I really love that option. Being able to just pull off that final snipe for game. They do have Tandem Shock here, but that is just going to be game. They don't have a way to snipe around it. We're going to place 4 damage counters onto the Jirachi for GG's. Well played to my opponent. And that matchup is great. So that's one of the main reasons that I really love Malamar in this meta as well. Pikarom's a good matchup. You can hang with Zacian VADP. You've got a good matchup against Baby Blacephalon. With 4 switch in the deck, especially Baby Blacephalon's really only out to trying to beat you is playing the Absol and hoping that you choke somewhere along the line. Zacian VADP's only way to beat you is to hope that you don't go clear vision, and if you do, hope that your deck kind of stumbles setting up and that you don't respond to their initial Brave Blade with a copycat. And if you do, they're usually going to be in a pretty tough spot. So we've got the Mew start here, and we're going second. We'll see what we end up getting ourselves into. We've got Quick Ball, so we can go get ourselves a Jirachi if we need it. And we've got a whole gang of oddballs here in the opening hand. I think that sometimes when you're going for the turn 1 clear vision and you're going second against a Zacian VADP deck, things can get really hectic. And you sometimes have to just slam down whoever's in your hand, which can sometimes lose you the game, unfortunately, since the Latios-GX does require that you have at least 5 Pokemon in play in order to attack at all. That can definitely be a hang-up for this deck, since getting 5 Pokemon into play on turn 1 is not always the easiest thing to do. Now we are playing against Baby Blacephalon. This is definitely a good matchup for us. However, it can get hectic because we do trade non-GX and non-GX, but eventually they will have to put Pokemon like Oricorio GX into play in order to keep up the trade, maybe Dedenne GX even. So we've got that going for us too, and hopefully that is going to work out in our favor. We also can go turn 1 Psi Power on the Jirachis. The spell tags really give us an option to take bonus prizes on them as well, so long as we draw reasonably. So let's go Acro Bike first. We find Viridian's fine, And we do need to basically retreat into a Jirachi and hope that we find a draw supporter. I think that is just what we're looking at. So we've got the Viridian. We can thin even further. We're definitely going to do that. And then we've got Quick Ball. The baby Blacephalon can go. Going to get a Jirachi. And we're going to go Mysterious Treasure here. Cramorant can go. We're going to get an Inkay. And I'm feeling the draw supporter. I think we've got it here. Mew into the Jirachi, Stellar Wish. And we've got a Research. So, got to believe in the deck. You feel me? We could have gone for the Beat Catch. No, we're not going for the Beat Catch. Going for broke. So, I would like to Psi Power turn 1 if we can. We just have to hit a switch off of this Research. And we do play 4. So, I think that that's probably going to be fine for us. Let's go. See what we can do. We do not find the switch. Punished. But that is okay. We will get rid of the Giratina and go get ourselves an Inkay. And then the Copycat Mimikyu is not really going to be doing all too much for us in this matchup. So we can get rid of that as well. And just get ourselves probably another Inkay. And then we do have Cynthia in order to really draw next turn. And we should be able to stabilize here pretty easily. So let's just go and grab ourselves that. We could get Malamar. They're not really going to be disrupting my hand at all. So I think Malamar is actually stronger to grab. And then let's just pass to my opponent. We do have a free retreater in Mew and 2 energy in the discard pile as well as this. So we can get the turn 2 Shadow Impact pretty easily. If they get a knockout with Blacephalon, then we could just promote the Mew. If they put Absol down, we've got the ability to retreat it pretty easily. 1 Malamar here off of Cynthia. We'll just have to find 1 more Malamar in order to get that Shadow Impact. And then we're just off to the races, trading back and forth. They've got the Heat Factory. They're going to start drawing pretty explosively here, but the thing is, and there's the Absol, in order to really keep up with the trade, they are going to need to draw very well off of their welders, and they are going to have to find their welders without using Pokemon GX like Dedenne or Oricorio. Some lists are playing Zacian V to Intrepid Sword and draw cards. They're going to need to make it work without all of those, and if they miss an attack, it looks like they did, they're just going to thin that Ultra Forest Cartivoy out of their deck because they know that this is not going to be a supporter that they really end up using in the game at all. So they're just going to get that out and then leave it up to me to potentially attack this next turn. And I'm feeling pretty confident in our ability to do that. So let's go in Distortion Door, and I just need to find a switch. We're going to go those 2. Need to find a switch and 1 Malamar. So a 2-card combo off of the Cynthia. Let's see what we can do. There's the switch and there's the Malamar. So we've got it. Love the 4 copies of switch. Can't say it enough. So good in this deck. It just makes all the plays happen. Now we've got Cynthia and another switch. I feel like the switches are just going to be more valuable than anything here. We'll Stellar Wish. We've got the spell tag as well. And now I think that we are just in an extremely commanding position with that spell tag there. Double Psychic Recharge, another Inkay down onto the bench to really assert our board position here with the Malamars. And we've got as many switch as someone could want, and they're telling me I've got a good deck. Thank you. I appreciate it. And then Shadow Impact for 130 damage. We'll place the damage onto the Malamar, make them have the 3 energy that they need in order to attack with Blacephalon, and use that Fireball Circus. Make them expend their resources a little bit more because they would love to Fireball Circus and only have to discard 2. That would definitely play to their advantage. But we've got our board set up now. Unfortunately, like with the Absol, you know, we know that that's going to be the kind of issue in the matchup, right? It's just going to eventually, my opponent is hoping that that Absol sticks and it gives them an extra turn to be able to attack back to back, and then that somewhere along the line my machine just stops working. But with the Recycle Energy here and 2 switches in my hand, this machine is not stopping anytime soon. We're just going to promote the Jirachi Stellar Wish and then just back in with Giratina turn after turn, doing exactly what we need it to do. Now, if they do Fion here, try to get around my spell tag, fine. You can have my Mew from Unbroken Bonds. It's not really going to be any sweat off my back. That is fine. And yeah, we'll see if they Whirlpool Suction or if they decide to knock out the active. Yeah, they will Whirlpool Suction. That's fine. Don't need this Mew here. He can go. It's just kind of eating up a spot on my bench. And then we've got the free attack with Shadow Impact this next turn. And I don't need to do anything. I'm not going to be fancy and go into Jirachi and Stellar Wish and waste one of my switches. We don't need to do that at all. I could go Cynthia and try to maybe dig for another spell tag just in case they try to go for another Whirlpool Suction. But I'm not terribly concerned about that either, because if they do, then I'm just going to promote this Jirachi. So we're just going to Shadow Impact here. And they're telling me well played. I'm going to give him the smiley face. And we're going to put the damage onto my other Malamar. Not really worried about it at all. They can fill their hand to 7. Totally fine. We're going to trade just fine here with these Blacephalons. We've got another Malamar, which is really good for us. So we can get that third Malamar into play and really streamline the deck. We can also, if we find an Escape Board, start putting an energy onto the Jirachi every turn so that we can retreat with the Escape Board. And this is the turn we talked about. I knew they would have to put down the Oricorio GX in order to keep up that prize trade eventually. It is just a facet of that. It's just a fact of the deck. They need the Oricorio GX in order to continue streaming Welder every turn. My deck just pumps out the damage easier than this deck does. But granted, Blacephalon does one-hit KO Pokemon with 300 hit points. That's really what the deck is built to do. It's not built to go toe-to-toe with a deck like Giratina Malamar, which can just churn out that 130 damage very easily with almost no resources expended. At this point, the only thing that I need every turn is a switch, and we've got 4 of them in the deck, so the Absol is just not really going to be doing what it needs to do. And I think if there was ever a point in the meta where Malamar really benefits from having 4 switch, the time is now. Getting that turn 1 Clear Vision GX has never been more important than it is currently. Being able to play around Absol has never been more important than it is currently. And overall, you would love to have 4 switch in the deck because it's just the most consistent way you can play the deck. I mean, almost all the decks that play Jirachi are playing 4 switch now. Baby Blacephalon's playing 4 switch. Zacian ADP is playing 4 switch. Pikarom is playing 4 switch. Why not Malamar? We can afford to play 4 switch. You might have to make a couple of concessions, but overall, if you're conceding something to make the deck just work better and you're generally improving your matchups across the board, then it's not much of a concession at all. So they're going to Whirlpool Suction me again. It's fine. They can play around my spell tag all they want. I still have a favored board versus them, and they do have the switch. I mean, they have so much they have to find every turn: the switch, the welder, the attacker, all that. And it's only a matter of time before eventually they're going to have to go in with Cramorant or something like that. They can't just ignore this Giratina forever, because I will just continue plugging away and attacking with it. Now we are going to get ourselves, I think, another Pokemon or something at this point. I'll just get a Jirachi back out, and then if I could find another spell tag so that I could force them to KO something with a spell tag, I would like that. So I think that here I will finally use Cynthia. We're just going to shuffle draw 6 cards and see if I can get myself into something else. So we got ourselves into a beautiful hand here. Definitely can't complain about that. We've got the Viridian, and I've got myself another Giratina. So this is everything we could possibly wanted, because we'll just Distortion Door and place some more damage counters, and now I've got that second spell tag that I wanted as well. So if they try to Whirlpool Suction shenanigans me again, they are just going to get stuck by a second Giratina now with a spell tag on it. So we'll take that knockout, and I think that this is pretty much checkmate here as far as the matchup is concerned, with the double spell tag, 3 Malamar set up, And we've got another spell tag off the prizes, double switch in my hand. What can they possibly do to try and sweeten their game state against us? I mean, the Victini V's Energy Burst, technically 36912, misses a knockout just barely on the Giratina, so that's not an option for them. Cramorant V is a good option. Spit Shot does have 200 hit points, can be situationally tough for me to knock out since it does have that 200 HP, but granted, having that liability in play can be pretty tough as well. So not something that they want to necessarily put down. Now they are going to have to Ordinary Rod, put some Blacephalons back into the deck so that they can continue attacking, which makes sense because if you look at Stefan's top 8 list from the Malmo Regional Championships, they only play 2 or 3 copies of that baby Blacephalon, which is a really interesting deck building decision, and I definitely agree with it because that Ordinary Rod is basically going in place of the 4th Blacephalon, and the Ordinary Rod just gives you more flexibility. You usually don't have any trouble finding the first couple of Blacephalon, and if you prize one, each Blacephalon is usually taking 2 to 3 prizes itself, so you're probably going to find the Blacephalon out of the prizes every turn. It's usually not an issue, but that Ordinary Rod really gives you the flexibility to be able to reuse any attackers that you want out of the deck. You can reuse the Cramorant, you can reuse the Victini V if you want to, you can get a 4th and a 5th Blacephalon if you want to. Just so much utility. Also, the OHKO GX very often comes under fire, and being able to OHKO again, even after it gets KO'd, being able to Ordinary Rod the OHKO back into the deck, quick ball for it, and continue drawing on your way is often a game-winning strategy for the deck. So we do have the ability to get this Jirachi very close to a KO now, and I am almost in a game-winning situation because we just go here. I've got the Recycle Energy in my hand, and yeah, I mean, we can just ping that Jirachi for knockout, and they are just stuck. There's not much. I don't even need to KO the OHKO. I don't need to go for anything here. They know that that it is what it is. The writing's on the wall, and I've got that checkmate board state set up. So that's Malamar, and I think that the deck is extremely good right now. Definitely recommend giving it a shot for the Toronto Regional Championships, and I think that the 4 switch is something that is definitely worth considering. Now, the concessions we had to make in order to accommodate for that: we don't have a 4th Acro Bike in the deck, we don't have a 4th Jirachi in the deck, we don't have a 3rd Viridian in the deck, but I would argue that the Switch is more of a game-breaking card than many of those other cards that I just listed. And I think the 4th Switch really goes a long way, especially since all those Absol that you're sure to be encountering. 4 Switch also really helps you Cosmic Burn back-to-back turns. It really helps you get around Absol. It allows you to Spit Shot back-to-back turns. There's so many different combos you can pull off with the 4 switch, so I definitely recommend trying that out. Thank you all so much for watching the video. Make sure to like the video, sub to the channel, ring that bell, and check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/TrickyJim, where I stream live Pokemon trading card game content every single weekday. Also, make sure to check out FullGripGames.com. Supporting the store here at Full Grip directly supports the content that I create here on Tricky Jim. So thank you so much to everybody who supports Full Grip Games. Also, if you got cards to sell, make sure to check out the buy list. I've got a link to it in the description below. Full Grip Games will buy your cards and send you cash for the cards you don't want, including bulk. Thank you all so much for watching the video, and have a great day. Peace.